Hello, this is Brent, your movie theater explorer, and I'm here for another episode of Movie Theater Explorer. And so today I'm just going to talk about some of the movies that I recently saw. I'm also going to talk about an upgrade I did to one of my to what I consider my dedicated home theater. I did get a new projector. It's a 4K projector. Anyway, I'll get into that when that time comes. I'll talk about the movies I had seen or watched, and a couple of them I had experienced with this upgrade in my dedicated home theater. And then I'm also just going to answer one quick question I just wrote up, um, and I'll touch that right at the end. So, anyway, the first one that I had recently watched, I was Thunderball. So, in continuation of the James Bond movies, um, for the Sean Connery era, to be clear, I decided to go and watch Thunderballs, the next one. I bought the 4K set of all the remastering in 4K for all the Sean Connery James Bond movies, and so I had re-experienced Doctor No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger, all in my modest home theater, and all of them were great. And then so I watched again in my modest home theater Thunderball, and yeah, this is my first time ever watching it, so this is a new experience for me, and I actually liked it quite a bit. Let's see, that basically, um, what stood out. Some of the things that stood out is the first thing that stood out is um, I recall I've watched parts of Austin Powers growing up as a kid, and I could recall some of the references, like the character number two and all that. So that was kind of fun, kind of point out. It's like, oh, I recognize that, and then obviously kind of cool seeing the jetpack and all that. So, but one of the things that was really cool, what really stood out for me was, so again, my modest home theater is a 55-inch screen TV with it is a Dolby Atmos setup, um, and basically I kind of got to feel like there were some underwater sequences, and they were actually quite cool. One of them was just where the bad guys were setting up for their big thing, and just feeling the underwater presence with the sound and everything was really cool. So that was something that really stood out to me. And again, that's just like one of those small moments, but just something that having that kind of experience helps enhances it. So, but yeah, it was an enjoyable James Bond movie. So I've got at least two more from the Sean Connery area. I know there's also Never Say Never Again, which I think that's what it's called. That came out in the 80s, and it wasn't officially released by the creators of James Bond, I think, but I don't know that whole story. I'd have to look into it before I start rambling off on it. So, anyway, but yeah, Thunderball, I really enjoyed it. Another one I picked up, again, I watched in our dedicated home theater, and at the time, it was an HD projector, but it was a Dolby Atmos setup. It was a really nice home theater setup, and it's one called The Invisible Swordsman. It came out from Arrow Video. It was on a Blu-ray, and it's just like one of those that I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go pick this one up because why not? And I got it off at a sale, and so I mean the quality. We'll just go out the quality of the disc first off. So the quality, like the picture's kind of rough. It's an older picture. I don't think there was a whole lot of remastering done. It definitely looked kind of grainy and kind of, I mean, and dirt on the picture, which hey, kind of enhanced kind of experience in a small theater. So I think it added that. Even just the crinkling, just felt like I was watching this movie off a reel. So off an old reel. So it in a small theater. So it was kind of fun for that reason. Um, the simple way to describe the movie, it's a very basic premise. Um, it's about a swordsman. Yeah, just we'll go off the title. It's basically about a swordsman that does become invisible. There's events that lead to it, that he is given this opportunity to go find these things where he gains the power to become invisible. So And I mean, again, it's a very quick movie. It's like, I think the movie was, I think close to 80 minutes. Actually, I think less than 80 minutes, more like 75. So it's not a very long movie. Um, it felt like, so it was it was a movie made in Japan. It felt like a Disney-esque movie that would have made back in those days. Because some of the special effects, just how they were done, kind of remind me of something that would have been done in like Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, Pete's Dragon, and all that. So it was kind of fun to watch all that. Um, so yeah, I paid about $20 for it. I don't think it's one you can easily stream. So, but yeah, if you ever find like a cheap theater that's or like a local theater that ends up playing it, it's not that expensive, and you're looking for like maybe an old Japanese movie, an old Japanese samurai movie that you just, or with swordsmen and all that you kind of want to take your little kids to. I think this could be a fun one. Um, Another one, I finished off the watching all the Lord of the Rings movies in theaters. So we saw Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. I went with a group of friends. Um, so something a little bit fun about this. I went to the same theater and we had the same auditorium for all three movies. Again, this one was in Dolby Atmos. It looked like the picture looked like it was in 4K. Obviously, the picture was remastered in 4K. It looked like the picture might have been projected in 4K, but it was definitely the sound was definitely an old Dolby Atmos, and it sounded awesome. Again, the sound was already fantastic beforehand, but the Dolby Atmos just enhanced it a little bit. So, but again, having that the whole trilogy in one auditorium was great. So I'm very glad for my local theater being able to do that. So yeah, that completed that. And then I had recently saw. I went to go to the theaters to go see The Sound of Music, and so I had never seen this growing up as a kid. It was just one of those I never really grew up watching. Um, I was very familiar with it. I think I've seen parts of it maybe a couple of times when my family would put it on and I was just walking through and all that. And again, I just didn't sit down and watch it. But then I think I watched parts of it on TV one time. So um, again, I think that was during my high school days when I think I watched parts of it on TV. So again, not enough to watch the whole thing, just parts of it here and there. So and then I gathered with a few friends to watch it at their house, and so that was my first time ever watching it. But then I wanted to experience it in theaters, and I knew this was coming to theaters, so I bought a ticket and saw it in theaters, and it was great. It was actually a great experience to watch it that way. Um, I watched it in my nearby Cinemark, and and I could tell, like you could just tell, like obviously the picture was remastered in 4K, and it looked quite good. The picture details were really good and everything, and it just and again I don't the first time I watched it like a week prior, and again it was off on a DVD, so I could notice at least I could definitely notice the differences between the two. I couldn't really break them all down to you like, oh, you look at this shot or whatever, because again I that my first time watching it on a DVD, I just watched it and all that, and then the second time was um, in theaters last week. So when it was playing in theaters, and so very glad to have that. I also know it's now in 4K, so if you have an opportunity to pick it up, obviously I recommend seeking it out if you have never seen it. It's a great movie. Another one I had watched recently um, was the movie Sneakers. Last week, as you know, Robert Redford passed away, so I decided to watch the movie Sneakers. Um, just just picking a movie from him, and so I picked up the 4K version of Sneakers from Kino Lorber a few months ago and decided to watch it. So I watched it in my modest home theater, So it's a small theater. It's just a small little home theater setup, 55-inch TV with it does have Dolby Atmos, but again, this the audio was in DTS HD 5.1. So, but the picture was actually quite good. Um, it was definitely it definitely looked really good. And yeah, and then the audio was fine. Nothing mind blowing, but there were still some good moments where it was utilized well. But it was like they knew like the kind of balance to give it and everything. So again, it was a movie that made back in 1992 or released in 1992, and so it's basically about a group of these computer hackers, basically, or and they're basically ones that they try to test the security of all these different companies, and yeah, they're basically hired to steal this black box to bring it to this government agency, and then from there craziness assumes or presumes. It was actually yeah, it was definitely a really it's definitely a very entertaining movie. It's got a great cast. First off, it's got Robert Redford, of course, which is why I watched it in commemorative of his passing, in remembrance of him as a result of his passing. Um, but also has a lot of other cast members. It's got Sidney Poitier, if you remember, in The Heat of the Night. Um, and it's also got Ben Kingsley. It's got Dan Aykroyd. Um, okay, I know I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not going to say his name, but he played the bad guy in The Bourne Ultimatum. Um, and I could probably list, if I could think it through, I could list off a few movies he's been in. But yeah, and there's River Phoenix, and then there's a small part with James Earl Jones. I just won't say where. Um, but yeah, it's got a great cast, and it's actually a really fun movie to watch. Especially it feels dated with the technology, but it has that sense of nostalgia. Because again, I grew up in the early '90s as like pretty much as a very young kid, in the early '90s, and so I knew like these early Macintoshes and early computers, floppy disks, and all that. So and it's cool to just watch that all stuff. But regardless, if you're looking for this movie, you can watch it for free on YouTube TV or YouTube. But if you're looking to pick it up physically and watch it like if you have a decent setup for a home theater and you just kind of want that kind of experience, and it's not playing in a local theater, then I do recommend you could pick up the 4K version of Sneakers. It's on sale right now, and I'm sure there'll be other sales in the future for it, but it's on sale like a fifth on Barnes and Nobles and all that. So, but yeah, it's a really fun movie. If you've never watched it, I do recommend watching it. Another one I picked up recently, I watched Krull. So this is a movie from 1983. If you read my post on Facebook, you will have noticed that how I described it. My first experience watching it was was on a portable DVD player when I was um, out on a trip. I was borrowing the DVD from my oldest brother, and so I got to watch it for the first time that way. And then I watched it years later. I picked up a DVD copy myself, or for myself, and so I watched it. I had a home theater in a box um, that I had purchased around that time, and I played on my DVD, and I had I think a 32-inch HD TV at the time. So so that was my first time rewatching it. So and yeah, having like a 5.1 setup and all that home theater in a box. So if you remember those, it was like a Sony one that I had, um, where you buy it has the subwoofer as the receiver and 5 speakers to make up the 5.1, and that was my first way of getting into home theater setups. My first one um, was like a simple Dolby surround, like it was a theater in a box. The receiver's on a subwoofer, and then there was the speakers, and and that was my first experience um, to setting up home theater, and that was years prior to that. But anyway, I'm giving like a big history lesson on here, but yeah, that was how I got into home theater, and then but I bought another home theater system later, and this is like a Dolby Digital, along with the DTS decoder. So again, it was a 5.1, so it was able to handle the DVD that I had, and it sounded pretty good, and it sounded fine for the equipment, and it looked fine for the equipment. Nothing spectacular, but hey, just great to rewatch the movie after a long time. Um, I would later have a upgrade to I would rewatch the DVD on a 42-inch HD TV, and I had a I had upgraded to like a more customizable home theater setup, and it was a 7.1 surround system. So and it was the encoders was Dolby True HD and DTS HD for that. And so, but again, this one was just like it was a Dolby Digital 5.1, and so as a result, it was a pretty basic sounding sound for that, but still sounded good on that. Nothing spectacular, but so the DVD wasn't anything spectacular, but it still looked and sounded fine. Um, and then they announced a few months ago they were putting it on a 4K, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to pick this one up on 4K. I didn't pick it up for on Blu-ray. I just decided not to. I was fine with the DVD at the time, but I figured 4K. I'm like, you know what? That sounds like the one that could actually benefit from an upgrade. So I went ahead and got it. Anyway, I guess I go through that whole lecture on my experiences with the movie, so I could basically describe um, my experiences with rewatching it today. So again, I watched this in my modest home theater, and it's got it's a 4K image. It was remastered in 4K. Again, it was off a 55-inch TV, LG 4K TV. This one had HDR10, so it does have a Dolby Vision encoding. I did not use it for the equipment that I have, but the HDR10 looked great, and the picture looked really good. Like the quality looked like very impressive in my opinion. I was extremely impressed with the results of it. The colors looked great. Yeah, obviously there's dated special effects, especially more evident near the end, but still, like some of the shots, like out in the landscapes and all that, were fantastic. So I was very impressed. And as far as the audio, it was put in Dolby Atmos, and so again, my setup again it's a 7.1, but it does have the upfiring speakers, so I have the Dolby Atmos setup, and I was very impressed with the audio front, and I could hear the low ends on various points that I'm like I didn't realize that they were all there, and like one like I yeah, I was very impressed with the results. It sounded great and well balanced and everything, and yeah, dialogue was clear, and just the sound effects were cool, and just feeling all that. So I was very impressed with the results. Um, Again, it is definitely a more pricey. Just to let you know, a lot. This isn't a 4K steelbook, so it is a bit pricey. It is not something you easily just find in stores. But if you're a fan of the movie, um, I do strongly encourage looking for this 4K. So you've seen it, you really like it, and you want to get it, yeah, pick it up on 4K. I definitely recommend it. For those that haven't seen it, obviously, I'd say stream it first and then pick up a copy afterwards. But yeah, again, it's a really fun movie. I really want. It's one I've enjoyed. It is a cheesy '80s fantasy movie, but if you like those kind of movies, I do recommend at least seeking it out and checking it out. Um, Another one I got to see was Apollo 13. I got to go see it in an IMAX theater, and I was very impressed with and the experience was awesome. Yeah, it's more than impressive. It was an awesome experience. The picture looked good, and definitely some standouts. Like I felt very immersed, especially in the shots in space and all that. But still, it looked great overall. But the one thing that really stood out with the experience was the sound, and the sound in the IMAX theater was incredible. Just obviously from the space sequences, being on the space station, just feeling immersed in that experience, and just obviously the rocket takeoff, or when the spaceship took off at the beginning, or during the during the beginning middle part of the movie, and then or the early part of the movie, and then yeah, just all the stuff like that. It was just a great experience, and very glad I got to experience Apollo 13 in IMAX. So um and now yeah, so get into to I did pick up a 4K projector for my dedicated home theater. So we've been using HD projector. I got a 4K projector and started testing it out. And the one I decided to test it out with, and again, the sound here is like it's Dolby Atmos. Again, the setup is it is 7.1. How it is, it's two floor speakers in the front with one center speaker, and then two bookshelf speakers in the back. And then I have two speakers attached to the ceiling, that are small speakers, but still, I think do the job okay. And yeah, so I projected this onto our little screen that we have, and it's definitely it was the results were excellent. I watched Ford v Ferrari was how I tested it out, and so Ford v Ferrari I got on 4K a while ago and decided to rewatch it. If you guys have never watched this movie, I strongly encourage watching it. It is a great movie. Um, and again, it came out back in 2019. There's a 4K version. I'm not sure if it's in stock or if it's one is hard to seek out. But if it is and you can get it at a good price, definitely recommend picking up on 4K. It is one of those movies that's worth having, especially if you have something you want to show off like a home theater. Um, but yeah, the picture was great. The coloring looked great, and just all the shots and all that looked excellent. And then obviously the Dolby Atmos was fantastic. Honestly, I like I would have to say, like, if there's certain movies that I want to show off what Dolby Atmos or a Dolby Atmos setup is capable of, or even just a home theater setup is capable of, this is one of those. And the pic, obviously, adding to the picture help immersing you into the experience, definitely. And again, this is just a great movie overall. So I do recommend seeking it out. Another one I tested it out a few nights afterwards is Elio. I picked it up on 4K. It's a 4K steelbook. There's a regular edition in Blu-ray. The 4K versions in steelbook. I picked that one up. I actually did really like it. So I think I talked about it months ago when I saw it in theaters. So yeah, I picked it up, and again, I watched this in my dedicated home theater. It's 4K image, and it looked great. Like the coloring looked great. And then Dolby Atmos sounded really good, very creative and everything. I probably didn't turn up at the volume I should have, but so I might have like not had the full experience of what it's capable of, but it was very impressive. I was very impressed with the results. So this is a very solid 4K if you really liked Elio and you're just wanting to pick it up for your family, or just yeah, you're just Pixar collector wanting these on 4K, obviously I recommend picking it up. Um, so yeah, these are just some of the ones that I've seen recently. Um, Actually, I want to go back on Apollo 13. I think I just talked about how great the experience is. Again, if you have never seen it before, I strongly encourage seeing it. I think it's still, at the time of this recording, I think it's still playing in IMAX theaters. It's only playing in IMAX theaters, but I think it's playing in IMAX theaters for at least a couple more days. So I do strongly recommend seeking it out if you haven't seen it yet, um, or even just want to experience an IMAX period. Okay, now the question I'm going to answer for the day is what theater I think has the best popcorn. That's a very hard one. I get popcorn from time to time, and it depends from theater if I'm just in the mood for it, and sometimes I just want it. Um, I think I again I'm you know what I'm going to change the question. What theater I think has the best popcorn to the one I actually like the best, and I feel like the popcorn I like the best is Cinemark at this time. Um, I have a local theater. It's good popcorn. I have a I've done AMC a couple of times, and I think their popcorn's okay. I think I did a Regal one time, but I don't recall if I ever had the popcorn there actually. It's been a while. I don't go to Regal too often because I have a Regal that's an hour away. So it's not something to go unless I wanted to check out a movie in ScreenX, which I have experienced a movie in ScreenX. And it's been a while. The last one I saw on ScreenX was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I'd only seen three movies in ScreenX so far: Avatar: The Way of Water, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Those are the only ones I've seen in ScreenX so far. I want to see another one in ScreenX in the future, and I'll probably talk about my experience in comparison of them again. But it was again, they were it's a very cool experience, that's for sure. It's more picturesque. The sound obviously is okay, but obviously there's better premium theaters that have better sound. But for all I know, that was a year ago when I actually a year and a half ago since I last went to a ScreenX, and they could have improved their audio since. So again, I'm due for going to see a movie in ScreenX. I'll probably find one in the near future and go see it and then do some compare and contrasts. But anyway, but I haven't been to Regal for a while, and so I really haven't had their popcorn in a while. I think their popcorn is okay, and I think I want to say it's probably close to, if I remember correctly, it's probably close to something that I would experience at an AMC. So um, I like Cinemark the best as far as the popcorn is concerned right at this time. Again, I'm probably gonna have to do more of a taste hunt and maybe give you more of a breakdown. But yeah, at this time I like Cinemark's popcorn in my opinion. So and again, that's whenever I have popcorn. And popcorn's not my big go-to. I just do it every so often. I think I talked about this. I like doing ice cream. I like doing milkshakes. If I just want to do soda or um, I like doing pizza. Like the Cinemark pizza is actually pretty good. And I have my local theater that does Pizza Hut pizza, and so I like getting that. And so yeah, those are ones I like if I'm just needing a dinner and all that. But yeah, I like the sweet tart ropes and just a simple drink. And then yeah, once in a while I'll switch it up and do different snacks here and there. But yeah, usually ice cream or shakes are usually my big go-to. If I want to grab a snack or just a drink. So, but anyway, again, I don't do snacks all the time, but I do snacks on occasion. So anyway, that's I think that's all I'm going to do for today, and I'll definitely I'll be back in a couple weeks with more movies that I see in theaters or in my home theater and all that, and I will describe those experiences. And until then, go explore your local theater. This is Brent with Movie Theater Explorer signing out.